Between that and like your internet working or my internet not working and your sound breaking, it's like a whole shit show all the time.
No,
But
that's
let's see what happens. And then I have to click all these other buttons.
okay.
And now the world knows we're talking, right? Like the active campaign is sent and the many chat is sent and all that stuff. And
Awesome.
so we'll see these numbers tick, tick, tick all the way up. And with that, the anxiety level will increase. You know what I mean? Just normal stuff, right? I don't have like official introductions, by the way. We just kind of start talking and see what happens.
That works.
So when did you joined officially like 6 months ago, but you really only like started involving like 3 months ago, or it was something like that, right?
Yeah. So I honestly think it was when you first released your inner circle. I think what, like 9 months ago, 10. I literally think I was one of the first people in.
Yeah.
I bought in because I was like, at some point, I know I'm going to need this, and it's going to get more expensive. So I'm just going to get it now, and I know I probably won't use it for a little while, which is totally cool. But at least I have it to come back to, and it's cheaper than what I know you're going to charge for it.
Yeah, and that was like version. God, that must have been version 1, and then we had to reset everybody's passwords and stuff like that.
Yeah.
What were you doing for like the first chunk of that? Because you didn't do anything, right? What were you doing? You had like a full-time job, or like there was like family stuff, or just like life in general, or what was going on between then and when you really got started?
So my wife and I own and run multiple businesses. We're entrepreneurs. Been since a couple months after we got married. Like we both quit our jobs and went into the whole entrepreneurial space.
Nice.
Which is awesome. So up from when I bought into like Inner Circle and started doing that, I was still just doing marketing and running our businesses. And just operating them and marketing for them.
Yeah.
And and it was just life was busy. Running multiple businesses, obviously busy. Having a little boy kept us extremely busy. And then my wife, we got pregnant again with our second son, and her pregnancy was a little more challenging this time. Mm-hmm. So she quit doing a lot of the client work that she was doing. What she does microblading.
Oh, cool. Yeah. Is that when women get tattoos on their eyebrows?
Yes. Yep.
Okay. Why do they call it microblading if it's eyebrow tattooing? I don't get it. Like,
I can't actually give you like a legitimate answer why I call that, but that's what it's called. Like I honestly don't know. We've been doing it for years, and I still truthfully can't answer why it's called blading, because we don't use blades. It's all needles. Like it's all like tattoo needles. They're shaped. They're like in a line like a blade, but it's not an actual blade. Yeah.
Here's what blows my mind about microblading is that it's expensive as hell, right? Like I've seen like women pay like $300, $400, $500 to get their eyebrows tattooed. And is that on the cheap end, or is that the expensive end for microblading?
So in Utah, and I'm just gonna put this out there, like Utah, we're cheap. We want a good deal. Like it's all about coupons and discounts.
Yeah.
We're kind of a little bit on the expensive side. We charge $500, but I mean, if you went to like LA or New York, like $500 would be dirt cheap. Like we have students that we've taught that are in those areas charging $1,500, $1,200, $1,800.
Oh my God.
Yes.
Okay, that's mind blowing. And like for the longest time, I didn't know that that's what women were doing. I just thought they were born with those eyebrows. You know what I mean? That like they had me fooled. You know what I mean? And then I was like, what are all...
Point.
That's the whole point. So it looks natural.
Yeah.
And then I was chatting with Chris, who's also in the inner circle. He's talking about like he's like his agency's doing well. They're doing like microblading and all. I was like, what's microblading? And like they just tattoo their eyebrows a certain way, and they're paying like $1,000 in like London for like the whole experience.
Oh,
and I was like, oh my God, like he's got a gold mine. And I guess you also have a gold mine. But before we go into that, right? So your wife, you're married, you have a kid, you have a second kid, you're both running businesses. Wife says, I'm not doing business stuff anymore. And you're kind of up a creek without a paddle. Is that right?
Yeah. So like taking clients was a big portion of our income, because, she would take clients weekly, and that's just that was a big part of one of our businesses of how we made money. And she said with the second baby, she's like, you know what? We have 2 kids now. Like, I want to just stay home more. I don't want to stop doing clients. I just don't want to do as many.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, so like, what does that mean? Like, what are we going to do? And she's like, well, I don't know. Like, you want to do marketing? Like, why don't you just start doing stuff for other people finally? And I'm like, okay, I'll give it a shot. And So I had been doing all of our marketing, and it was just like all in-house. Like I didn't do anything for anybody else. It was all just our businesses. And
And when you say marketing, you mean like Facebook ads, funnels, soap opera sequence, automations, like all
yep,
the stuff that magically happens, right?
yep, all of that stuff that like nobody talks about, that nobody wants to do. That's what I was doing for our businesses.
Yeah.
And so then in November of last year, so 2018, like the very first part of November, like right around Thanksgiving, I just made an announcement on Facebook, like, hey, I finally decided to open an agency to the public. I'm only taking a few clients, and I would love to just sit down and talk with you and see where I can help. And boom, I just like, it just kind of blew up. And I'm like, I have so many meetings. I have so many like consults. Like, honestly, I don't know what to do, and I can't handle all of this work. And yeah, it's been going great since. And
so about like, so this was maybe 3 months ago. No, this was like August, November, September, something like that when you made the announcement. And you're like, yeah. And you made an announcement, and you're making this like weird transition of like, all right, well, I have to get client work and taking on clients and doing what I've done for myself, but for other people, which is the natural progression, right? That's just how like Sam Ovens talks about all this stuff, right?
Yeah.
And you make an announcement, and it was on Facebook, or did you talk to people, or you just posted on Facebook?
Just Facebook, just my personal, like I don't have a business page, just my personal profile. And I tag my wife in it, like, you know, because a lot of people know us together. Like we do a lot of stuff together. So she was tagged in it, and it was just both of us on the post, and that was it.
Perfect. And now people are like messaging like, yo, Reno, do my ads, figure this out, stuff like that. What were those first batch of conversations like? And did you know if you were prepared for those conversations, or did you just like fail forward and say like, let's see what happens?
I definitely fail forward. I was just
by the way, for people watching, failing forward is like, I know I'm gonna fuck it up. I'm just gonna get out of the way, right?
Yeah.
And just so you get the first failures under your belt.
Yeah. And so like honestly, I posted it, and I'm like, oh, I'll have 1 or 2 maybe. And honestly, I had 10, 15, 20 messages. And I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. Like, I don't know how to manage the client side. Like I knew what to do on the marketing side, but to handle the client side of like onboarding and a process and like, okay, this information I need to collect from you, and this is, you know, a time frame to get it up and going. Like I had no idea on that end. So yeah, it was challenging at first. And I just definitely like didn't do pitches. I didn't do like sales things. It was just like, hey, I know you, you're a friend. Like I've literally met you in person before. Like we have had lunch, or we've had drinks, or we've gone to dinner, whatever that was. And it's like, I'm just going to tell you like on the real, like, this is what it is. This is what I can do. And, you know, if you're interested, this is kind of where I'm starting, and we'll just go from there.
Perfect. And those first 3 or 4 calls that you know that you were going to suck, you got to fail, you got to experience what sucks before you experience what's good, right? That's just how the world works, right?
Yeah.
And so what were like your thoughts and feelings of those first calls? Because this is like your first big break. Like if this works, you will not be poor or starving, and you take care of your family, right? But if you mess this up, your wife is going to be angry at you for the rest of your life. No pressure. You know what I mean? So what were those initial batch of calls like? Like, did you bomb them? Did people pay you money? Did you know what you were doing? Like, what were those calls like?
Honestly, I didn't bomb them. I've been in sales. Like we've obviously ran our businesses before, so I'm comfortable like selling, talking to people, explaining programs, getting enrollments. So I mean, I'll probably be a little bit of an exception. I didn't bomb the conversations, but I just definitely wasn't pitchy. And I was kind of at the point of, I have 20 messages. Like if you say no, like, okay, I'm just going to talk to the next person, which is kind of a benefit. But at the same time, I think it kept me very like real and authentic of, okay, I really can help you. Or there was a couple that I went through, and I'm like, you know what, like, it's just not going to work. Like I'm going to charge a little bit more than what you can afford, and it's just not beneficial with the stuff you're selling to pay me as much as what it's going to cost to do what you want me to do.
So that means you had like people that scheduled a meeting with you that were selling what, like $5 flower arrangements, right? That could no way afford to pay you $1,000 or $2,000, $3,000 a month, right?
Yep. Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. So now that we've gone over that, you got someone to pay you money, right?
Yes.
Now what, right? Now now you know what to do. Like now you're freaking out. Like, you know, there's like several stages, like we talked about in the circle, like, oh my God, somebody paid me money. Did I cheat at this? Is it worth it? I don't know what I'm doing. Like all those feelings. So like, what was it like after somebody paid you like real life money for like the services that you kind of like been doing yourself for free to build your own business?
It was a holy shit moment. Wow, somebody actually paid, and I, like, my first client has been my biggest client. So it was at that point like, holy shit, they paid me so much money. Like, do I really know what I'm doing? Even though I'm very confident what I'm doing, but at the same time, you second guess it. You're just like, can I really do this now? Because they've like really trusted me with a lot of money to do a lot of stuff for their business.
Yep.
And it was just like, okay, like this just became real, and like, what the fuck do I do now?
Yep. You're like, all right, they paid me money. Do I deserve it? Probably not. Now what? How do I not mess it up? How do I make them happy? Like this whole weird series of batch emotions that you don't experience when you're doing it for yourself. Like if you fuck up your active campaign, oh God damn it, right? But if you fuck up their active campaign, oh my God, right?
Yeah.
But so you posted this on your Facebook, right? And you got like 20, 30 people, and you had a sales background, so you knew what to do and how to ask for money and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And then somebody paid you $12,000. Is that right?
Just over 12. Yeah.
Can you talk about how that happened, what that process was like all those if, ands, or buts? Because if somebody's just tuning in, we just had like 30 people jump in. All they heard me say was Reno Pay signed somebody for like 12 grand, right? So like talk about that for a bit.
Yeah, so that client is actually a friend of a friend. It actually didn't even come from like my Facebook post at all. We were out at a bar one night, just like having drinks with a friend because it was her birthday, just celebrating. She showed up, and my wife is kind of like pimping me out lately. I'm really cool with it, but she literally is like just pimping me out. Like she definitely sells me better than I sell myself.
Yeah.
But she was telling the friend, she was all, hey, like, I know you have this company. I know you're trying to get it back and up and started. Like she had some life situations come up. She had to shut it down, but then she's ready to launch it again. And she's all, Reno can really help you. Like, this is what he is doing. You should really talk to him. And she like sat down, like walked over, sat down next to me. And she's like, okay, like, what can you do? And I'm like, I'm drinking right now. Like, I'm
at a bar.
Yeah, at a bar. Like sitting right there. I'm like, I'm not in the right mind frame or like to go through this right now and like give you all the actual information you need to make the best decision. So how about let's meet up next week, like, or in a couple days, next week, a couple days, whatever it was.
Yeah.
We'll really sit down when like we're not drinking and I can really show you some of this stuff. And she's like, okay. So met up with her, did basically like an hour consult. I took a little bit longer just because she's a mutual friend. So I like really just went over a lot of stuff in detail with her. And I said, okay, so here is my proposal. I'll get it back to you within 2 days. So I left with all the information I needed and sent her a proposal of literally everything. Like I'm talking everything that I know how to do, that my wife knows how to do. And honestly, like I thought she would like pick and choose a few things, but she was all, great. Like I need all of that. I want all of that. And I'm like, what? I did not expect that at all. Yeah, and she's like, okay, so like let me work out some financial stuff, and I'll get you a check and we'll get started. And I'm like, let's do it.
Outside, you're like, yeah, I expect you to say that. And inside, you're like having a fucking heart attack.
Yeah, yeah, exactly, exactly.
And so it was a friend of a friend that you met at a bar, and this was after you announced to the world that you were doing agency work, right?
Yep.
And she's in the fitness space. Is that correct?
Online apparel.
Online apparel. Okay, cool. And you had like a 15-minute, 20-minute chat at the bar where you're like, no, not now, but later.
Yes.
And then when you had the second meet and greet, was it like a structured conversation, like onboarding docs and like the 7 steps I talked about in the inner circle? Is more like, like let me just write down stuff, or like what was that first, strategy session and pitch meeting like?
Yeah. So her meeting was before I really kind of hammered out and like fine-tuned the process that I now go through.
Yeah.
But it was a lot of, okay, like tell me what you have done in the past, what results you had. What would you like to do, or what have you heard of that works? And like let's really figure out like what your problems are. Not only in Facebook ads, because she actually never even asked about Facebook ads.
Yep.
But it was all like website, branding, sales, process, kind of all of that stuff. And so when I really understood what she was looking for and really kind of where her business was lacking, or where I could really help her, that part went into my proposal of, okay, we need to redesign your website because your website is a little outdated. The colors don't match, you know, the brand and the image that you're going for. And, you know, it's been 3 years since your website was built. So we just need to kind of bring it up to what your competition is doing so that we can at least compete.
Yeah.
And so I just really like walked her through all of these things and kind of gave her tips and tricks and said, okay, now here's what I can do. And since then, I've really refined my process and kind of have a system. But hers, it was kind of a little all over the place because I was still like figuring that part out of like, how do I word this and how do I do that? And how do I relate, like what's customer ascension? Like most people don't know that. So like, how do I use terms that they're going to understand and get them to like, you know, key in on like what the importance of it is.
Yeah. The tribal language, how people describe what they want and their problems, stuff like that. Right. Yeah. So like, I think like a great example is like my bike shop. Like when we signed him, we didn't talk about Facebook ads at all. Like we talked about a high performing digital marketing campaign. He was spending a lot of money on SEO and he just spent a lot of money on his website and it wasn't performing. So all we did was talk about his problems, right? Like, what have you been trying to accomplish, trying to sell bikes? So I remember he was in the room. I was like, do you think anyone's going to really buy a $6,000 bike on the internet just because they saw your ad? Or do they have to come inside the shop? Great. So let's get them to come inside the shop and then you can sell them more stuff. So that's how he understood customer ascension, right? Which is like, get them to buy a small thing and then they'll buy more stuff over time at higher price. But that's not a word that people use. You know what I mean?
Not in their industry. In our industry, maybe, but not out there.
Right. Like if you're in Russell Brunson's tribe, you know what I mean? You know, ClickFunnels is, but outside of that, nobody has any idea. It's the same way with those types of terms.
Exactly.
But so you throw like everything at it. You say like, we're going to level you up, right? Yep. In everything, like you and your business. And that meant for like on the marketing side, that meant like better automations. That meant like better websites. That meant like you have to change this, you have to change that. And like your email and soap opera sequences, active campaigns, things like that. And then remind me later on, you did the same exact thing can we talk about the lady that was like PMing recipes or no?
Yeah.
Okay, we'll talk about that later. But you essentially like, you just leveled them up, right? Like in every way of the term, which is like pretty cool. And you talked and she paid you, is that right? $12,000?
Yep.
Was this your biggest deal ever?
It's to date, it's my biggest, and it was my first. Like,
that's so awesome.
Like first up to bat, it's like grand slam. Now I'm like, I have like to swing for the fences now.
That's so cool. But this was you proving to the universe that this darn thing could work, right?
Oh yeah.
Because up to this point, it was like phone calls or messages or like telling the world, great, fine, perfect. But this was a real person that you met. That was like, all right, I've got a real problem. And they're willing to pay an F ton of money to solve it. And she's still with you today, right?
Oh yeah. Yep.
Perfect.
Yep.
And so that was like your big win, which is like absolutely fantastic. And like, but like the biggest check I've ever gotten from my agency was $10,000. And I fucking have a photo of that. It's framed like on the wall over there, right? Like it's crazy.
Yeah. It's
and so was there like a time frame? Did you talk about like Facebook ads or direct measure results, or was it just like rebuild all the stuff in the background for her?
We didn't define a time frame because when she like paid the check, it was right before Christmas. She had old inventory because she's actually rebranding to like an actual entire like new brand name, brand image, everything. Yeah. So a lot of up until this point has been, let's sell your old inventory. Once that's gone, we can basically start the rebranding and move forward. So on my invoice or my proposal that I sent, I have a list of the things that I'm doing. And so when those things are just completed, whenever that time is up, like then it's done. And then
whatever makes them happy.
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
And was this like your philosophy and your approach with like your future Facebook ads clients? I'm just calling them that because it's like ad agency stuff, but you've got something different, which is like, you don't do just a flat rate like I do. Like I say, it's like, it's $3,000 a month, take it or leave it. Right. or it's 2,900 a month and this is all I'm doing. You do something different. You do like a percentage. Is that right?
For some clients, I have done a percentage where I've sat down with them, gone over their business, and I show them like, okay, this is what I would suggest that you do. Like, here's Facebook ads, here's funnels, here's messenger bots, email automation, whatever that is, logo design, website design, all of that.
Mm-hmm.
Here's what I would recommend you do. Here's all the things that I can do. And there's even some things on there that I can't do, but I tell them like, you should look into doing this. If you need some referrals, I'll hook you up. I'll connect you. The people that I recommend that I've worked with that I know are quality. And then they've looked at it and they're like, that's a lot of money. And I'm like, yes, it is. And
it's a big check you're about to write me. Yeah.
And they say, okay, is there something else we can work out? And then at that point, it's kind of up to my wife and I at that point where we're like, this business is solid. It's either been around, it's already making money, or like we see that we can really scale this and like take it to another level with more input from us. And at that point, we're like, okay, so here's another option, and we will become percentage owners in the business or company.
Yes.
And here's the defined roles. We're going to take over marketing and branding and automation, and you are going to remain the face of the business. You're going to keep doing what you're doing, and then we're just going to grow it together. And here's our percentage split that we're taking, and this is our second offer. And the three people have taken that, and we're like, okay,
perfect, right?
Let's do it.
Like, what I like about that, by the way, is like not only making people make a decision, like either you're doing this or that. Like they've already committed. Like we agreed on everything except for the money, right? Great, let's talk about money. Right? So you're 99% of the way, and you're not letting money kill a deal, which is cool. And then you're saying, look, you have option A, you're going to pay me, let's just make a number like $18,000. And they're going, oh God, no. You say, or you can pay me 20% of every sale that you get. And we're going to keep doing all this stuff forever. Yep. And what I've discovered is that like, this is how like a webinar coach got me. Like, he's like, it's going to cost you 10 grand for me to walk you through. So I was like, oh God, I can't do it. He's like, what if I just took the first 10 sales? I was like, okay, I can do that, right? So in my head, it's easier for my brain to say, you get the first 10 and I get the forever from that point on. And it's easier for your clients to say, I just have to give up 30% or 20% of the sales, right? Because they're still making 70, 80% of doubling or tripling or something like that, which is like absolutely cool. Now, did you go into these contracts knowing that you're going to bring that up? Or was it only like you just call it, you're like, oh, I think we could do a 20% deal or something like that. Like, is there a thought process behind that?
So one of them that we're doing a print on demand with like Instagram models and photos and stuff. I actually approached him about doing the split that we settled on because he was actually a previous client that I'd worked with probably in the years past. Randomly he'd say, hey, can you build me a funnel? And I was like, and this is before I had my agency. I'm like, oh yeah, like I'll build one for you. Like,
I was free, right? Yeah.
And so like he would pay me and I would build them. And so we had this relationship for at least a year and a half or so. And I had built funnels for him doing what he was trying to do.
Yeah.
And I could see the sales that were coming in. And I mean, these models were making 10, 15 grand a month off of just print on demand photos of themselves. And I'm like,
so much money on the internet.
Seriously, this is crazy. And so finally, he had some situations come up and had to deal with some things. And finally I was like, I approached him. I was like, I think this can go really big, but to go really big, it needs more of my time. So here's what I'm proposing to you. Mm-hmm. And so I pitched him on the percentage and I was like, this is what we're going to have to do. I'll handle all of this part. You handle that part. And he's like, okay, let's do it. So he was really the only one that I approached with the percentage. The others have come from, initially they asked me, what I would charge for services and what I would do. And then it was, well, I don't know if we can afford that. I don't know if I want to afford that. And I'm like, I see potential in this. So here's my second offer. If I don't see a potential in it, or it's just something like I don't want to get involved in, like it's just not something I'm interested in, I just don't even bring that up.
Gotcha. So you feel it out, right? Like if this person's been around substantially and you know the numbers, you can keep it on and stuff like that. Like I've always dreamed of doing like $1 or a percentage or something like that. And we tried to do it with the car wash guy. It never fucking worked because people were paying like cash or credit card. They weren't like prepaying. So I was sending him like an extra 100 customers a week. And we're looking at the numbers like, how come nobody bought online? I'm like, fuck, right? But they all bought at the cash register, right? And it was hard to like argue that. But your clients are all online, so like it just works, right? You just look at the numbers, refresh, and then take a percentage.
Yeah, and I have access to like the whole back end because I built it. Like it's on, you know, either WordPress or ClickFunnels, Stripe. Like I can see all the sales going in and out and stuff. So that's where I feel comfortable, and yet they still have access to it too. Like I'm not blocking them out of it. So we're all on the same page with that.
Has any of these percentage clients like made so much money they're getting to a point they're like, Reno, we can't keep paying you like so much money? Or is that like maybe that'll happen 3-4 months down the line, or you haven't even thought of that yet?
It hasn't got to that point yet, but the ones that we're in partners with, I think we're all on the same page of we're going to stay partners forever because we can't do as good a job of what they're doing on their end, and they can't really afford to pay somebody like more than what or less than what, you know, we're getting on the percentage side. So we've kind of gone into it like this is going to be a forever thing, and like we're happy with the deal we have, and we're just going to keep growing it to whatever it grows to, and hopefully it's
$1 million a year.
Yeah, on each of them.
That would be absolutely crazy. So you started from $0 in an agency, wife, kid, second kid on the way.
Yep.
And you're like, well, now I got to do this for real. And your wife is like, I can't keep taking all these clients. I still like clients. I just want less. Yeah. And you're having mini heart attack because you're all entrepreneurs and businesses. You don't know what to do.
Yeah.
And so you tell the world like, hey guys, you know I'm awesome. So how about you hire me to do your Facebook ads or agency work or something like that? And like 30 people are like, I'm in. And you start signing clients. And you got your first big win because your wife whored you out at a bar.
Essentially, yeah.
Like to a friend of a friend, right?
Wow. Yeah.
And she writes you a check for $12,000. And then this kind of proves to you and yourself and to the universe that this could be a thing.
Yep.
And now you're getting people to pay you a flat rate. You're getting people to pay you a percentage. And when you add up all those numbers, I think you did $25,000 last month, or you're about to, right?
As soon as my last 2 clients pay their invoice, I'll have broken 25.
Beautiful.
So
that
I'm
is so cool.
Pay it, but it's like this close. So I'm just like pay it.
Just today, now, yesterday, please, right?
Yeah.
So you went from 0 in November to 25K at, let's just say, mid-February, right? So November, December, January. Holy shit, Reno, that's 4 months.
Yeah. So my first client paid me November 27th was the very first check I got. So, I mean, it's been 2.5 months.
Holy crap. That is so fantastic. I'm so psyched for you. I think that's absolutely great.
Thanks.
And so I hope that, like, I'm pretty sure you could have done this on your own, but having a bunch of people yell at you saying, Reno, go live, makes it legitimate. You know what I mean? Like everybody kind of needs like a boss, right? We all kind of do. And so like when you're posting like you got a $1,000 deal with 30%, like, Reno, go fucking live right now, right? And you do it in that room, and you like you're like hiding it from your wife, like, hey guys, so I just like I got a deal, and you hear the kids in the background, shut up, my boss is yelling at me, right? And I hope that helped prove again to you and the universe and your family that like it's notching up and up and up. And I'll bet you, like once you get 25K, you look at those like old lives that you did in like the inner circle, you'll not believe that it happened. Like you've like progressed like this, which is so effing cool.
Yeah.
But what's really, really interesting is that people pay you to pitch to them. Is that right? Like for context, everybody watching this is the biggest reason why we're on this live right now, because even I haven't figured that out. Like I've got like 2 or 3 businesses about every other week coming in, and I pitch them, and it's like a 60-minute pitch, but they're paying 0 until they pay the invoice. I'm like paying my time, right? And I'm only closing like 1 out of 3 at like 25 to 2,900. Okay, fine, whatever. But you figured out how to get them to pay you money before they even show up and get on a phone call with you. Is that right?
So I do a like 30-minute consult, which is free. I mean, it's a consult, but to move forward, to kind of go into my whole like actual proposal of services that I do, like where I can help them, all of that stuff, I get paid up front before I do any of that. So do you want me to kind of walk you through the process of like how?
Yeah, like just pretend it's you and me, okay? Because I need this. All right, like I've been trying to figure it out, and I say pay for a strategy session for an hour, and nobody does it, right? So like I don't know the right phrasing or framing or anything like that, but it would be mind blowing if I figured out how to get people to pay before they show up. Because when people pay before they show up, or like pay to get pitched, they pay at a higher rate and they do it more frequently, right?
And it's like ridiculous.
It's like 95%. Like they've already committed. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So, and if they don't, you're not sour about it, right? So I'm all ears, Reno. Take it from here.
Okay. So basically my process works is the most important thing I can tell you that you have to have before going into this is a process or a system that is unique to you, or you call it by a unique name, like something that's going to set you apart. Like as you kind of always say, like in your group and in the inner circle, is don't be just the Facebook ads guy. Like you need to go in and you need to solve problems. So I don't ever say like, hey, I'll do your Facebook ads. It's, hey, I'll help you with your marketing and I'll help you with your business.
Right.
Because I want them to know straight up front, like I can do a lot of stuff. Facebook ads is probably like 95%, like people can use it, but I don't want them to be zeroed in on like, that's the only thing they need, because I want them to do more stuff. I want to charge more so that it can help them more and do more things for them. So typically the way I work is I have them sign up for about a 15 to 30 minute consult. It's completely free. And so during the consult, I just sit down, kind of briefly, like ask them what their situation is. Like, what are you struggling with? What have you tried in the past? What were your results with that? What weren't your results? Like, you were wanting this, but you didn't get it. Like, why do you think that didn't happen?
Yeah.
Just figuring out where they're struggling, whether that be Facebook ads, whether that be client retention, whether that be, upsells and downsells, and depending on the business, how that's all going to work. And so then at the end, or kind of halfway through, I say, okay, so here's my process. Here's how I work. And this is kind of the system that I take all of my clients through. And so I say it's a 3-phase system. So the first phase is customer acquisition. It's like, so this is basically how everybody else pitches you and how everybody else is going to come at you and say, this is where they're going to help. They're going to say they can help you with marketing. So that's Facebook ads, that's YouTube ads, that's Instagram, that's branding, that's all of this stuff that you probably don't really know, like, is this beneficial? Should I do SEO? Should I do blogging? Should I do Facebook ads? Like, is it even worth it?
Yeah.
The second phase is customer ascension. So this is where most businesses actually fail. I say most businesses will do phase 1. Good businesses will do phase 1 and 3, but great businesses are going to do phases 1, 2, and 3. And they're like, okay, I want to be a great business. What is this? And so I walk them through phase 1, which is just marketing in general. Like, this is how we're going to get customers in your door. For realtors, like flyers, like mailers in the mail, like still work. I don't know why, but they still work. Like, it just does. And so, those are like some of the things that I can like hint to. Like, you may think Facebook ads work, but this is kind of what is showing, works. So then phase 2 is customer ascension. And so I basically explain it as, if we are doing Facebook ads, and I'm only using Facebook ads as an example, we have a marketing budget. And so when we spend that budget on Facebook ads, we've already paid to get this person in your door. So once they're in your door, let's figure out how we can get them to buy as much stuff as possible. And so we want to come up with programs, other products that are complementary to what they're already buying. So let's figure out how we can get them to buy more. This is where most businesses fail, and they don't do this very well at all. This is kind of where sales funnels come into play for most people.
Yeah, I was going to say so what you're saying is like there's 3 phases, and it's like Reno paces 3 phases to getting your client to pay more, whatever it is, right?
Yeah.
And the first phase is getting people in the door. I'm just using smaller words, right?
Yeah, exactly.
The second phase is getting them to spend more money with you.
Yep.
And what I've now realized is my bike shop is really, really bad at this.
Yeah.
Like
most businesses are.
Right. Like, all right, great. We made a sale. See you later. Bye. Job is done. No. Right. No. This person has a wallet or a budget, and they're about to spend $10,000, $15,000 maybe even $100,000 for the next 2 or 3 years. Do you, as a program, as a business, as a person, do you have something set up to attract to those dollars? Or are they going to go spend it down the street?
Yeah.
So just like Amazon is like, we got to sell more stuff, not by having more books, right? We got to have other stuff to sell, and we got to find ways to get them up the ladder, like what value ladder, like Russell Brunson talks about.
Yeah. Yeah,
so
exactly.
you got a better version of, we're going to set up your value ladder for you, right? It just sounds better when you say it, you know what I mean?
Yep. Yeah.
So
yeah.
First step is getting people in. Second
Yep.
step is getting them to buy more stuff. And then what was number 3 again?
And then phase 3 is just get your customers to buy more often, or customer retention. So you can kind of look at it both ways, where this is a lot of like the email follow-up, like the soap opera sequences. Like, you would be surprised how many businesses don't have an email list, or they have one, but they never use it. And before I started doing this agency, side of everything that I'm doing, it was interesting to me to like meet with these people and then see their back end. And I'm like, you have an email list of like 2,500 people, like email them, like tell them like the stuff that's going on. Like, you don't have to sell them. And I'm not saying like email them and say, hey, we have this special, hey, we have this promotion. Like, don't do that. Like, that's
right.
But like, just reach out to them and like contact them and just say, hey, like, tell them about your story, or tell them a customer testimonial or something like that. So
I was on the phone yesterday with a Facebook guys marketer, just landed an account in London, like a rhinoplasty guy. And he's got a list of like 900 people. Cool, no big deal, fair size list. Except rhinoplasties are like $6,000, right? And half these people paid already to him $6,000. Half of these people have not, right? Yeah. He's never used his list, ever. He's been collecting it for over a year. So I'm like, hold on a second. He's getting 3 opt-ins a day. Only 1 or 2 out of those, on average, spends money with him. He's never contacted them again to say, hey, did you want to spend more money with me? Nor has he ever contacted people who didn't spend any money and saying, what can I do to get you in? Right? So he's sitting on a list that's worth like $200,000-300,000, doesn't even know it, right?
Yeah.
So
one thing, so in our microblading studio that my wife and I run, we'll email our clients, and it'll be like product recommendations of like things we use, and it's our affiliate link to Amazon. So we're sending out like, hey, we use this, hey, we use this. And if they go buy it, like, we're still getting affiliate money, and it's not coming across spammy, because we're just like, hey, we use this, and hey, you should try this, and it's great.
And here's what's interesting, like when you're doing that, it's like the money is there, fine, great, perfect, but it's such a small number, it's not even a motivator. It's more like proof that people will continue to buy stuff from you.
Yep.
So if I've got a list of like 10,000 people and I've never sent anything out, I don't know, maybe it's going to freak out, maybe they're going to spam me, I have no idea.
Yeah.
But what I need, and permission from the universe and for myself, is to send something out and then have them not freak out and have them take action, right? So when you're doing like, hey, this is what we're using in the studio, like for over there, if you want to buy it, click here. That's kind of like people saying, no, it's okay, you can send me stuff and I'll give you money in exchange. I'm like, oh my God, right? Yeah. And it was the same thing for like my bot list and my email list. Like it took me like 6 to 7 months for me to give myself permission to email my list. Like, it was crazy. I don't know why, right? And you know what? Now I'm emailing my list 5 to 6 times a week, and open rates are through the roof.
Yeah.
More people watching than ever before. Enrollment is through the roof. People are getting results, are coming back. I'm like, what the hell was I waiting on?
Yeah.
Right? But it's the bullshit that like you keep feeding yourself. I don't mean you, but like your brain keeps telling you like what you really need is to do something and get permission from those people to do it again. And so like when you send out that offer, and I'm challenging everybody on who do the same thing with their list of their clients, send something out so that you can send something else out.
Yep.
Right. So, all right, go on. Keep talking. Okay. I interrupted you. Yeah.
No, you're good. So I kind of explained the 3 phases and asked them, like, do you understand? Does this make sense? And they're like, always like, yes, okay, I understand. And I was like, where do you think you're lacking? And they're like, well, definitely here and definitely here. I was like, okay, great. So this is how I work. All of this is based on customer research. I can't do phase 1, phase 2, or phase 3 if I don't understand what is going on. And so this is how I get paid up front. I was like, most businesses are or most agencies or marketers are gonna come to you and they're like, I can help you with marketing, pay me $2,000 to do your Facebook ads. I was like, that's great. And Facebook ads may work for a little while, but if they don't do customer research, you actually may be getting a better return. If you're a real estate agent, like mailers still work. Like we could do mailers, or you could do YouTube ads. For certain industry, YouTube ads are better. In the beauty industry, like we kill it on Instagram, but not Instagram ads. It's like organic Instagram. And so I can, kind of reference a few examples. I was like, but for phase 2, if we don't understand like what other things your customers are looking for that would complement like what they're doing, then I can't really get them to buy more if I don't know what to offer them. Right. So for like your bike guy, like a great upsell would be a like maintenance thing for like a year or 2 years. Like, hey, bring your bike in, we'll service it once a month for like $50, or whatever that is. Like just start throwing out a couple examples so it gets like their wheels turning of like, oh, okay, I could use that. And then same for phase 3 is, typically email marketing works great, but bots work great as well. And essentially you can kind of sell it as, if you want to do emails, you can basically send the same emails in a Facebook Messenger bot. So you can kind of get a 2-for-1 bang there. I was like, but I can't figure all of this out without customer research. So what I do, this is how I work. Typically I charge $2,000 for customer research. Right now it's only $1,000.
Yeah.
Takes me about a week to like figure this out. So I will go in, I will do customer research, I'll do competitive research, and I'll do a market research. So basically I'm hitting all 3 phases with research. So my customer research is like the marketing, competitive is your ascension, and the market research is like your follow-up. So I say, so I'm going to research these 3 phases, and I'm going to come back and I'm going to give you like a next step guide, like a next step blueprint of everything that I would do and everything I would recommend that you do. And at that point, if you decide to move forward with me, like the $1,000 goes towards those services.
Right.
If you don't, like you get all of this information and you can go hire somebody else out. And they'll at least have a blueprint of like things they need to look for and things they need to do. And they're like, okay, so $1,000 right now. I'm like, yep, takes about a week. I take cards, here's the link, swipe your card, and I'll get going. And so that's paid up front for the research. And then I'll let you ask your question, and then I'll go.
Okay, no, I have to ask because, like, remember, tiny brain here. I'm barely functioning as an adult. Like, I'm really an 18-year-old in large shoes. Okay, so, all right. So, hit my calendar. You spend like 15 minutes, like, yeah, great, fine, perfect. Use onboarding questions. Are you using my onboarding questions or your own?
It's like half. Like
mixed.
Yeah.
Cool. And so at the end of it, you're like, all right, this is how my program works, step 1, 2, and 3. And they're like, oh my God, that's amazing. Get them in the door. Yeah, that's the Facebook ads. Get them to buy more. Yeah, that's the funnel. And they get to coming back. Yeah, soap opera sequence. Oh my God, perfect. And you're like, here's the kicker, Mr. Johnson. All of this is based upon customer research. We don't know what to actually put in these 3 until we do customer research. Is that fair to say?
Yep, exactly.
And then you say, if you want, you can pay me to do customer research. It's $1,000. It takes about a week. And I'm going to do customer research, market research, competitor research. You're going to get a big old booklet, which is really just a slide deck or whatever it is, right? Yep. And if from there, if you'd like, I can show you how I can actually build these 3 things out and use that money as a deposit. If you decide not to, at the very least, you have a program that you can then take to whoever you want. Is that about right?
Yep, exactly.
Okay, all right, go on.
So let's see where I was. Oh, okay. So I take a week, I go through, I do the blueprint. I call it the next step guide. I think it's kind of catchy and like it just sticks because they'll have a blueprint to move forward. And so then I come back, I send them the the guide with everything that I've researched and I've come up with. So that's like your target market, what products you should, or what I think would be a good fit as like upsells, using active campaign. And so like here are some email sequences. And so I give them all of this information. And then in my proposal at the bottom is my invoice. And so my invoice has, if I'm saying like you should do a funnel, like here's my charge for a funnel. If you want to do Facebook ads, here's my charge for Facebook ads. Like I literally list everything. And I'm talking about everything. All my proposals that I've sent out are easily over 10, 12 grand. And I want them to see everything, but I want them to feel a little overwhelmed because I need them to realize like they need help. They can't do it all themselves. like I can't do everything that I do by myself. Like I have to hire, like outsource some things as well.
Yeah.
But I want them to realize like the scope of everything that they could be doing that they could see a benefit from. So I send out the invoice and I say, hey, like read over this. I'm going to reach out to you, you know, tomorrow, the next day, and we're just going to go through this and follow up with it. And I want to make sure you get all your questions answered and that you have all the information you need. And then at that point, it's your decision, and we'll decide, you know, you'll decide at that point, like if you want to move forward and where you want to go with this.
God damn, Reno. God damn. Like, you're going to do $500,000 fucking with that idea. Holy shit.
Yeah.
Like,
at that point, when they see the proposal, like they've already spent $1,000 with me, which I mean is a good amount of change. Like it's a chunk of change. I'm not trying to like downplay it.
Yeah.
I always like move that over into services. So my funnels start at $2,500, so they take $1,000 off. And most of my clients are like picking and choosing. They're like, I can't do all of that right now. I'm like, I get it. Like 12, 15, 20 grand, like invoice, like that's a lot. So in the next step guide, I give them like 2 to 3, like this is what you need to do like right now. And so then I say, okay, to get started, like let's start here with redesigning your website, and it's $1,000 off. So like, let's start here.
Right.
I get done. I come back and I'm like, okay, so like, here's the next one. Let's work on this. And they're like, okay, let's get going.
Okay.
So
all right.
Going and going and going.
All right. So what you've done, by the way, is you have built in pseudo automatic renewal. Like if you had told them like, look, it's going to be $3,000 a month for 12 months, they're going to say, oh, I don't want to do it. But if you say, look, here's everything you got to do. I know it's going to cost you $20,000. I know you can't do it. What do you want to work on first, second, and third? Let's roll this sucker out. And so now you've got effectively a renewal every month for the next 10, 12 months because you have like 10, 12 things on there, right?
Oh, yeah.
And you're renewing at a higher rate than the standard $1,500 a month person, because the second they get money, they're like, just pay for the next thing. They stay around longer. And none of this is Facebook ads, so you're not the Facebook ads guy. You're the CMOO. We know. You're a fucking rock star. Where have you been? Like, what the hell? Like, this is crazy.
I still have yet to run. Oh, well, I guess my apparel company, like I'm doing ads to get rid of their inventory, but I've yet to run a Facebook ad. It's all like stuff leading up to the Facebook ads. Like I haven't even gotten to that point with any of my clients yet.
And I'll bet you if you ran Facebook ads, it would not be ready for Facebook ads, right? You'd be too soon. Like there's actual like pre-work that you have to do, right?
Yeah,
but
exactly.
That's crazy. Reno, you're gonna make so much money this year. Oh my God. You're gonna have like a 10-bedroom house in the middle of Utah. This is gonna be crazy.
I have 2 kids. I need 2 bedrooms.
2 bedrooms and prepay their college. That's all you want to do, right?
That I could do. I don't want 10 bedrooms.
No, it's gonna happen. But yeah, dude, I'm super psyched too. I think it's absolutely crazy. I don't. So I remember when you started going live and you started talking about how you're getting prepaid to talk to people, and I was like, that's $1 million idea. And now you've kind of like pulled back the curtain and you're showing everybody on here exactly how you do it. Would you be interested and okay with like 3 or 4 people having like a one-on-one 15 minutes to ask like more questions and things like that?
Yeah, absolutely. Sure.
Okay, cool. So for everybody watching, if you think Reno has like helped you uncover the next step for you and how you can land $12,000 deals, and if you think that if you could talk with him, you could like figure out how to get people to pay you money to talk to you and pseudo renewal every month for like 12 months in a row. What was the name of the thing that you do? Like the 3 secrets or something like that? Or the
I just call it paid to pitch, or like my system is just like 3 phases to grow your business. Like I don't have a catchy name for it yet. So
okay, if you want to talk to Reno and spend 15 minutes on him, type #3phase my face.
Perfect.
I don't know why it's like a face thing, to be honest. I just did it once by accident. Now it's a thing.
Because you're looking at the butt, so it should be like
right. It should be butt my face. I don't know. Type #3phase my face or something like that. Nick is already saying yes, I want to do that. Well, Nick, type the hashtag, otherwise you're gonna lose your spot. And so we've only got 3 spots because Reno's too busy running his almost $300,000 a year agency from his. Are you in your office or your basement or something like that? Right, like
home office, yeah.
In your home office, which is where we put all the canned goods. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So we've got Ferrari, Nick, Alan. It's always out of order. I have to go back to the replay. But okay. I'll connect the 3 of you to Reno, and then we'll take it from there. Reno, it's been absolute, like, really cool, like, pleasure seeing you go from 0 to 25K, seeing you go live and be like, holy crap, I made 12 grand today. Holy crap, I made 1,000. Holy crap, I landed a 30% deal. And it's like all lining up really, really, really fast.
Yeah.
If there's any questions that you guys have, we've got 4 minutes left. Now is the time. I'm just going to scroll through the chat, and then we'll see if like there's anybody like asking in particular, and then we'll go from there.
Cool.
Nick is talking to Anthony, so that doesn't. Oh, Anthony says I stopped pitching 6 months ago. I was like, Anthony, no, you need to do that. You need to make money. Steph says you're so smart. Steph signs. There you go. Rich Toy says this is great, and then not one but 2 fire emojis. Nice. Nick says, where are you getting your info for your competitive research, your market research? How do you like package that? Can you give me like a couple sentences?
Yeah. So like looking at their Facebook ads, so going to like competitors' Facebook pages, looking at their ads, looking at the industry as a whole. So not just their competitors, but for instance, one of the companies we took a percentage in was a keto meal plan. So I'm just going to the health industry and looking at other meal plans that could be like Atkins, South Beach diet, like whatever those other diets are, looking at their landing pages and their Instagram profiles, and then going into audience insights in the back end of Facebook and really kind of understanding like, okay, is it men, is it women, what age, what other associations are they a part of?
Yeah.
And on the branding side, I'm looking at like images, colors, layouts. If they're doing any upsells, most aren't doing upsells. So that kind of really gives what I do an advantage to create upsells. Yeah. So that's kind of a few of the places I'm going.
So in my head, I'm imagining for $1,000, just let me run with it, something that looks like this, right? This is Chris Trinity's med spa class, but it looks like this. And it's got screenshots of their competition, of the competition's ads, websites, and Facebook analytics and Google analytics, stuff like that. Is that about right? Is that fair?
Yep.
Perfect. All right. So Nick, I hope that like answers your question. Let's see. Proposal template idea so I can revamp. Nicholas, you're in the inner circle. You already have a proposal. Like, Scott says, is there a template of what you send after you do the custom research? Do you write each one custom? What is there like a package that you send? Like, here's the custom research. Now we have permission, or is that just in the slide deck or the slides, things like that?
So I use a CRM. It's called Dubsado, and so there's a template in there that I've created. And there's one for like the proposal, and then there's one to like my onboarding questions. So when they pay me the $1,000 to do customer research, they get another like 26 question thing they need to fill out that just gives me more information to kind of get started. Yeah. So those templates are in there that I just created, and it's kind of I just go over them every time I send them out. I go over the questions. I'm like, oh, I probably could have asked that better, and so I'm just always kind of like critiquing them and changing them a little bit to fit. Yeah. But then when I send out the proposal, I do custom type a message, but the proposal is laid out the same. So like customer research is first, and then competitive research, and then market research. So they're structured the same, but then I have a custom message of like, hey, Mr. Johnson, like I love meeting with you, like blah, 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 just kind of a small intro.
Gotcha. Okay, perfect. Well, this has been like really, really cool. We went over how you landed your first $12,000 deal, how you're landing percentage deals, $1,000 deals time and time again. But more importantly, you just told everybody, you pulled back the curtain, you shared the expert secret on how to get paid to pitch to people, right? So you'll have like the 15, 20-minute chat. Here's how this program works. We only know if it works from customer research. You're like, great, here's money. And then you're like, I'll give you I'll treat it as a deposit if you sign on more. And then you're like, great, what am I buying? You're like, you're buying all the way down, which is like $20,000 to $30,000 worth of services that they can't afford. So they're going to do it month to month. So you've got built-in renewals, which is like insane. And none of it is Facebook ads, which is fucking crazy, right?
That's in the proposal, but I've yet to like reach that level yet. It's all like website design and funnel stuff at the moment.
Perfect. So you've got a website and funnel design agency that's actually a consultation and marketing strategy company, which is like even cooler. So we're going to bring the sucker to an end. Again, Reno, it's been awesome seeing you move and grow. I hope your wife is super happy. I hope your kids go straight to Harvard and you donate a building and you get the 2-bedroom house with all the dogs and white picket fences that you've always wanted. Later this weekend, I'll connect the 3 people that we choose to you directly. I'm bringing the sucker to an end. It'll be available for replay. Again, Reno, thanks so much. You did great. And as a last shot, is there anything that you genuinely think anybody watching this should be like just doing today? Just like do this thing today, you'll start moving in the right direction.
Focus on a system or a process that you can kind of market and like brand as yourself. And what has worked best for me is just having that one thing to sell, which is my customer research. That way I don't go in and I'm like, oh, I could sell you this and I could sell you that. Like I always have just one focus. I have my system, I have my process. That's all I'm offering at that first initial consult. And then just reach out to people. Face-to-face has worked best. I've only landed one client from not being face-to-face yet. So like Jeff says, like, just go talk to people, meet them. Like,
talking to people. Oh, horrible. Get drunk at a bar, make 12 grand. Worst thing ever, right?
It was awful. It was awful.
Worst experience. All right, Reno, thanks so much. I'm going to get back to work again. Appreciate everybody watching. Reno Pays went from 0 to 25K in 2, 3, 4 months, something like that. Great job. And I'll see you in the inner circle. Catch you later.